I swallowed the red pill back in 2008 and began reporting the news in front of a camera in 2019. In that time, we've seen a complete upheaval in world politics. The battle lines have changed between the illusion of left versus right to the reality of globalism versus nationalism. Despite all the information, the truth and the lies, there are two very distinct pathways emerging. Should we follow Labor and Liberal to a dystopic one-world government, or do we fight for our nationalism, unlock our hidden resources wealth and build a new Australia? With the world teetering on a knife's edge, should we solidify our relationship with the USA and become the 51st state? This is my mission statement here on Australian National Review, and I welcome you to Black Pill me as hard as you can as we determine our future together. This is the 51st state. Welcome to the 51st State for episode 18 of the show, coming out of Australia that dares to challenge everything that we know about being Australian and the bargain that has been struck for us. Are we meant to be part of a globalist regime with a king that attends World Economic Forum meetings? How can we be part of AUKUS, stationed nuclear submarines off the coast of China, our biggest trading partner, and therefore, how can you be a servant to three masters? So in an age where free speech is being challenged and censorship is off the charts, one has to wonder, what is worse, not being allowed to speak, or that speech being ugly and mean, perhaps? This is why you have to have an idea, a set of ideas, a conversation and a debate, and allow chips to fall where they may. The truth, it will set us free, of course, but how do we get there? I don't think we can do it if we don't speak about those subjects. Well, one of the greatest challenges of all is getting to equal justice, and it appears that in the United States, things are being set up in a way that we have been hoping for a long time, those of us at least that have been following along, that, you know what, the hammer of justice may yet fall, and indictments and arrests could well be on their way, judging by what the president is saying this week about what we're seeing in terms of RussiaGate and some very big names. And he's not afraid to point the finger directly at his predecessor, President number 44, Barack Hussein Obama. We are going to get into all of that shortly, and after the break, I'm going to introduce you to a man who I believe is America's best independent newsman. And when you meet him, Bruce Snyder, you too may become convinced of a man who has dedicated his life in ways to serving his little group of people, 5 or 6 or maybe 10,000, I don't know how many there are, the most loyal group of followers I have ever seen. And when I discovered this, I wondered what it was that made Bruce so popular amongst his supporters. And then I looked at the content and the quality of his work, and it's second to none. Well, we all have to start somewhere, and many of us in the middle of our lives, but what we're seeing now is that it keeps coming back, and we keep realizing that we maybe were all born for a reason. And I reckon after the break, you're going to realize, but Bruce was born for just this moment in history, and it is all about the bad, the results, the discovery, the healing, and then on to a bigger and better future. And I'm delighted to be able to present this to you on this show, the 51st State, and of course, the great subjects and topics that we'll do. We'll take our first break right now, and when we return, I'm going to introduce you to America's best independent newsman. Hello and welcome back to the 51st State. And as promised, I am going to introduce you to him right now from Ohio in the United States. He is the El Supremo of MindFix TV. I'm going to get him to tell you exactly where he can find you, but you'll see him on X. You might find him on Rumble, of course, and he's even battling those guys at Meta and Zuck. And I'll tell you what, I bet you've got a story to tell you about that. But here he is, America's best independent newsman, Bruce Snyder. Welcome to the 51st State.
Thank you, Jason, very much. I appreciate that introduction. After that introduction, it's all downhill for me from here.
I have set up the expectation, haven't I?
Raise the bar.
Well, you know what? I'm glad that you said that, and humbling as it may be, but what you have done and certainly taught me is the necessity for those of us in the independent media to set a standard, to stick to it. And if we don't know, instead of getting to a situation that we kind of think that we can guess what's coming, you sit back. You tell your audience, look, we have to wait. We don't have all the facts here, but I will make a statement on this in the future. And I know you're chomping at the bit to get the results. And that's part of the impressive part of what you do. But it's not all of it, because you still put out more information than I think most people are able to do. And I'll tell you what, you're always right.
Well, I appreciate that very much. And I have stayed consistent. That was my pretty much the choice that I made in the very beginning. In the very beginning, when I saw the birth of like Q and everything and everybody going down the rabbit hole, I made a decision. It was probably right around 2018 that I said, okay, I got to go into this full time, because I have a news background, but I work behind the scenes, cameras, editors, producing, all that other stuff. But I was never a guy to be in front of the camera, but here I am. So I said, well, if I'm going to go in, I'm going to do it full force. And here I am right now. But, at the same time, I'm just, to thine own self be true. I stay very consistent. I realized that after a few years of that whole, let's just say the Q thing, I realized this is going to take a long time. And when Donald Trump coined the phrase drain the swamp, I pretty much knew that's not going to happen overnight. That is going to take years to get to a certain point. Now, here we are in his second term and his last term, and he has to follow through on all of his promises. And I believe he is absolutely going to do that. We are on the cusp right now, as we speak, of looking at the possibility of upcoming indictments, arrests, and trials and convictions. So, again, going back to what you said, consistency has been my key. I was never one to follow the crowd or fall under, the headlines that get out there on the internet so fast, and people run with it. They run with emotion. I'm like, better take a step back, relax, let things play out, give it a day or two, even sometimes. And most of the time, it's that approach that makes me consistent with being right. And I say that humbly, I'm the guy that's always right. No, I don't need that. But I have that good track record because I take that wait and see approach, and I just don't jump into everything like everybody does on the internet. So,
because there's this fascination that you have to be first to the table with breaking news, like somehow that's going to change the way that the mindset of the collective works in the moment. Right. But what's the point of saying something that that turns out to be wrong? And of course, it just becomes a distraction, and then the confusion, therefore, and you just can't get to where you need to go. I don't understand that mentality either.
Well, we have a responsibility, and we're going up against the deep state mainstream media, the propaganda machine. We've been indoctrinated. A lot of people have most of their entire lives because of the mainstream media. But now we have the ability to have this microphone right here, have a platform, and get the word out and get the truth out. And I knew from the very beginning, I better stay very consistent. Otherwise, I'm going to lose a lot of people, and they're not going to buy into what I'm trying to report anymore. And that is the responsibility of putting out truth, is just digging your heels in, stay totally consistent, take a wait and see approach. A lot of times it will all work out. And that way, that's the audience that I have generated. And the people like you introduced me about my introduction, they are amazing people. The followers and friends that I have, they are very consistent. I became the most targeted man on all of Facebook with 91 or 92, right around, it's about 90-ish, permanently suspended accounts. And I had to keep making a new account, coming back and coming back and coming back. And the people who followed me found me immediately, and they kept coming back. And I always knew, okay, as much as Meta's going to suspend me and these folks keep coming back, I know it's not for my charm and good looks, it's for what I'm putting out there, the news reporting. And I'm like, there's something here, something very special here. Stay consistent, be responsible, keep doing what you're doing. So
well, this is it. And the loyalty from your audience, and so you can see some people that will have 1 million followers and they'll get 1,000 likes, for example, on a post. You'll have 10,000 followers and you'll get 8,000 likes on a post. It's that's what I'm talking about. So this is a something else, and this obviously proves the dedication. So for those watching, you might want to check out Mindfix TV along the way, and we will obviously give Bruce an opportunity later on to be able to tell you where you can find his work. But if we look back, Bruce, back to when it was that your light bulb moment said to you that the Trump administration 45 was going to be something different. Were you always a Trump supporter, or were you always a Republican, or somebody that was just looking for change and that this was that catalyst?
I was always somebody looking for change. And when Donald Trump announced that he was going to run for president, when I saw everybody laugh at him, especially coming out of Hollywood and Hollywood and everything else and making fun of him, they really made light of the whole thing. I'm like, I wouldn't do that. I remember telling my wife at the time, I'm like, this is an amazing thing. I told her, I said, because this man is not a politician. He's a good businessman. He's going to come in here, and this is before he was elected the first term, and he's going to make this economy much greater. And of course, we didn't know everything that he was capable of doing, and now we do. But I just tell you, I mean, I was absolutely sold on Donald Trump, watching him from the very beginning, and you could just tell that he was determined and he was focused to make America great again. I know that I don't want to make it sound like a cliche, but that's true. I believe him to be a real patriot. And I know there are people out there, especially on the other side, that don't like him and hate him. And for all these years, they've been listening and following the headlines. And all of them have been consistently wrong along the way, just because CNN or MSNBC told them something. And when you challenge somebody, perhaps on the left side, if you will, and you want to have a conversation, you want to have an intellectual conversation, and you ask them questions, they run away. They want nothing to do with it because they don't have the response. And I'll tell you what Donald Trump has done, yes, it has caused this, and he hasn't caused it. I want to retract that. It's the mainstream media. The mainstream media is responsible for everything. They get their marching orders from Washington, when whether it was the Obama administration or the Biden administration, they get their marching orders from them. And the deep state has its tentacles in everything. And we've had nothing short of a major psychological operation over all these years. And now we're at a point now where we're looking at the possibility of indictments and arrests. And then once we get past that point, the big part that everybody wants, the arrest, then we got to go on the healing process. And what we have to do is we have to unbrainwash an entire generation of people and get them back thinking to a point now where they're not getting lied to anymore. The propaganda that they are fed is just an absolute poisonous cancer.
Yeah, well, this is the thing for all of us. And what I struggle with is the fact that the people who look to the government in the age of almost subcontracting out their own responsibility to authority, they look to their governments to solve their problems. But at the same time, they pretty much acknowledge that it was the government that created the problem in the first place. It's that strange logic, almost as if they have been told your hands will be tied behind your backs and you don't have the ability to be self-sufficient anymore. But what you do have is a voice. And if you can complain loud enough, you will force the government to serve you in a collective response, which of course just leads us into this whole communist world that we're headed towards. If you look outside what's happening inside Fortress America, has been the plan all along. So,
Yeah.
like you're saying, the planet, the United States, all of us need to heal once this reality comes to the surface. Do you think that before we get into the nitty gritty and the details, do you think that if there were to be very senior people in handcuffs, that would be enough to wake people up? Or are we going to get to the next stage and there's going to have to be another secret that is exposed before then we'll start to see a change?
I think I thought about that quite a bit. And let's just say, for example, like the talk of the town right now is Barack Obama, the big dog, being indicted and being arrested. So if we see that, I'm prepared. Here's what I'm mentally and ready prepared for on breaking the news. Break the news that it happens, but also for the backlash. Because they're going to fight, at least here in America, okay? They're going to fight and they're going to be resistant to all that, just like they've been for all these years. I think the question you just asked is you're exactly right, what you were leading up to. It's going to take more than just some big name arrest. They're gonna the sleeping crowd is going to blame the Republicans and how dare you arrest A, B, and C, these people. We have more healing to do. And I think the way we do that is transparency. And you're seeing the transparency right now in the Trump administration. Now, not everybody likes it. The evil side is that, they're fighting tooth and nail against it. Every time this transparency comes up, and they're just fighting the whole narrative that's being put out there. And it's the truth that's being put out there. And a lot of people can't handle the truth, just like the movie. You can't handle the truth. And that is really what is happening right now. I think what they need to do, and I'm not, okay, in my opinion only, is that they need to, if they're going to arrest these people, they have to put out the evidence to the entire public, whether they take over the airwaves, the televisions, and whatever they need to do, and just pump that into everybody's home, every device, over and over again. As long, of course, it's not propaganda like we've become accustomed to, but no, it's going to be all truth. And it's going to be very difficult for people. It's going to take years. I realize that it's going to take years to heal, for people to finally fully wake up along the way. But I think we can really get a good grasp on things if they're completely transparent, provide all the evidence to the American people, to the world for that matter, all the evidence right in front of them, and say, here it is. Now, those folks that don't want to wake up, I don't know what to tell them, and they're just going to live a miserable life, I guess. But that's the way it needs to be. 100% transparency, and show the world everything.
Well, let's start showing the world what we have now gathered. And for this interview, Bruce, I've gone to your resources that you've put out there for people, and I've taken a couple of clips, and we'll share them for you now. I'm going to start with President Trump in the Oval Office, and here he is pointing the finger at his predecessor. Take a look.
No, Barack Hussein Obama is the ringleader. Hillary Clinton was right there with him, and so was Sleepy Joe Biden. And so were the rest of them. Comey, Clapper, the whole group. And they tried to rig an election, and they got caught. And then they did rig the election in 2020. And then because I knew I won that election by a lot, I did it a third time, and I won in a landslide. Every swing state won the popular vote. But I won that all the same way in 2020. And look at the damage that was caused.
Yeah, that's he said a lot there. And at the same time, people have to understand that Donald Trump is not doing this for retribution at all. This has people need to realize this has nothing to do with your political party. This has everything to do with, I'm only speaking for Americans right now. This has everything to do with America and your freedom and your rights. And what was done. I mean, if you are at least somewhat awake, you realize, hey, maybe I voted for Barack Obama. I'm a Democrat, but looking at the big picture, these people committed treason, okay, on the world stage. And people have to get to that point and accept that, because if nothing is done, Jason, Okay. If nothing is done, we're doomed. America is doomed, and the rest of the world will fall. These deep state globalists, if you will have the courage to keep moving forward. Because if we don't do nothing now, they're just going to keep doing what they're doing. It's going to be 10 times worse. And if you think that we were living in censorship before, oh, it's only going to get worse.
Now, something that it blows my mind when I reflect upon it, but those of us that followed in the lead up to the election of Trump in 2016 were made aware of some very serious crimes along the way that opened up the door for the understanding of human trafficking. It brought the world's attention on the character known as Jeffrey Epstein, and we're going to get into that a little bit later. But it felt like that the moment that Trump was elected, that there was the very possibility that there would be almost imminent arrests for crimes that were technically historic, that occurred before Trump got into office. However, what we're seeing now is that RussiaGate which is what this is all about, is technically happened in real time. So it's almost as if the pressure of the deep state knowing that they had been found out, the only way they could continue was to become more criminal, in effect, to cover their tracks and to take him out, so that couldn't happen. Therefore, the patience of President Trump, likely knowing, having read The Art of War, and obviously with those people serving and working behind with him, knew that this was going to happen. And therefore, it opens up the door to the number 17, or the letter Q, and that whole thing that we will get into talk to a little bit later. But this is what I find fascinating, is that he literally forced this to happen, not to do anything bad, but simply because of his existence, his mere threat. Let these people commit crimes that should never have been committed in any society, in any part of the world, and certainly not the United States, the global policeman. Did you see something similar at the time? Have you been able to reflect in the same way and realize that this happened in real time after the fact, that it wasn't something that had happened in the past and he just walked in there and found it?
That makes a lot of sense what you're saying. You're right. It's the art of war, if you will. And Q has actually said, you can't tell the world. You have to show the world. And same thing with the Biden administration. I'm one of those guys, whether I put my tinfoil hat on now or not, I'm one of those guys that believe that the election was allowed to be stolen. They allowed, whatever you want to call them, white hats, whatever you will, allowed the Biden administration to steal that. And the reason I say that is because the world needed to witness what we witnessed for those 4 years. And if Donald Trump would have won that, I don't think we would be able to be in the position that we are right now, okay, with the second term, to do the things that he's about to do. All right. We needed to have that Biden administration in there to do that. Yes, you're right. Going back to trafficking and Epstein and everything else, there were things that were committed prior to President Trump. But at the same time, things happened while he was in office. So we saw a lot. We still, to this minute, we see exposure on the world stage. Never interfere with your enemy when the enemy's destroying themselves. And we've been witnessing that for the longest time. And we're getting to the point now, very close, that's about to come to an end. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Well, same too. And as much as you almost want to celebrate just the sigh of relief and the feeling that at long last that we've no longer been gaslit, and the great big "I told you so" coming for all the people that have doubted us. But again, we haven't made it about ourselves as much as it feels very personal. And I think what we've been able to do is to step back and as a consequence realize that this role, sitting in front of a camera, is not something you just do for entertainment purposes or for ego, but for service to community. And I think that's probably part of the reason why people like you and me are so focused on creating a better product. Recently, I was asked about my own work, and people said, you're doing a great job, etc. And I often say it to my wife. I say to her, I still only rate myself a 6 out of 10. And she says, "Why are you being so hard on yourself?" I said, "I'm not. I just feel like I have a lot more potential. And that's my point." And so I'm quite proud of the fact that we both do what we do, and we do it around the clock, 24/7, but not at the behest of neglecting our lives either. Because I often say to people, and it was one of my friends the other day, Roland Crystal, said, once you go down down a rabbit hole, don't stay down there, come out. And you need to be able to acknowledge that the sun and the sea and the sky and the family and the kids and all the rest of it. And you've still got to take time to smell the roses. It is so important. And when you do that, and you are healthy and functioning and thriving, it makes it even easier to see what's actually coming there. So it's kind of a lesson at the same time that you must maintain balance in life. I didn't mean for this interview to go down a pathway in that regard, but I just think it's really important to put it out there that many of us that have been following on for so long going, yes, we're almost there, keep calm, and the arrests will come. Let me now play for you a part of the interview that Victor Davis Hanson did with Laura Ingraham, just to sort of sew things together here. And this is based on what he believes is the lack of credibility that these very big names will have if and when they are indicted. And it's very, very important, because you're seeing a lot of people now on X who are coming out and saying, well, due to presidential immunity and thanks to Trump, Obama can't be charged. But of course, that misses the great detail, because treason, which is probably the highest possible crime that can be committed, is not part of this. This is a big deal. I'll play this. We'll come back. Have a look.
Is an expert on the Russia collusion scam. During the Mueller investigation, we had him on all the time and discussing this. We knew this was filled with corrupt intentions, and these findings were probably skewed. Victor, this really isn't surprising to us, but tell me your reaction to what we've now learned, given what Tulsi Gabbard has declassified and these two different criminal referrals, one from the CIA director and one from the director of the DNI.
Well, I think it's pretty clear they're going to have written evidence and probably testimonials from these so-called great intelligence authorities at the level below Clapper and Brennan, and that's going to be damning. And the only mystery, Laura, is whether Barack Obama will say that Clapper and Brennan overread the assessment and misled him, or whether Clapper and Brennan say that Obama misled them. But otherwise, everything is pretty clear. The other problem is none of these people have any credibility. James Comey pled ignorance, amnesia 245 times under oath to this House Intelligence Committee. He leaked a confidential conversation with Donald Trump that he memorialized to the New York Times via a third party. Clapper, remember, he lied under oath to Congress, and he said that the NSA did not spy on people. Then when he was caught, he said it was the least untruthful answer he could give. Brennan lied twice. He said that the NSA didn't spy on people, lie. He said that the CIA didn't tap in to Senate staffer computers. That was a lie. Both of them were co-architects, let's not forget, of the 51 intelligence authorities. So you could really say, as a historian, a historical period, they affected the outcome one way or the other of the 2016 election and maybe the 2020, because they leaked that false narrative of Donald Trump colluding with the Russians to manufacture Hunter's laptop right before the second debate, and to arm Joe Biden to go in there and lie to the American people that his son's laptop was a product of Russian and Trump collusion. So they've got a long record of no credibility, and I don't think they're going to be convincing in any excuse or apology they give.
Oh, absolutely. That's a great clip from Victor there, and I really respect Victor, and he knows what he's talking about. But as far as leading up to that video, you talked about there are people online saying, you can't convict, you can't do that. I don't get into all that. Bottom line is this: all of us are living in uncharted water right now. We're witnessing something none of us have ever lived through. Okay. Yes, here in the States, we've had RussiaGate, but this is way bigger, to witness treason, overthrowing a government, an election, rigged election, the whole nine. So we're just going to have to simply sit back a little bit and adapt to what unfolds in the coming days and weeks ahead. But at the same time, I'm pretty darn confident that we are. The reason I'm confident is because of everything that has been put out publicly by Q. They have told us it's coming, and they've warned us, and they told us it would take a very long time to get there. But one thing in particular is Donald Trump does not lie. He delivers on his promises. Recently, there has been a division, a divide online because of things that Donald Trump said, the whole Epstein saga. I know things are being put out intentionally, almost an art of war thing. And it's also a genius way to get everybody talking about, for example, Epstein again. How do you get everybody talking about Epstein again? You make everybody mad by saying what Trump has been saying, and you kind of, I'll be clean on the show, but you make them mad. And now everybody's talking about here in America. Everybody's talking about, mainstream media is talking about Epstein now. These people would never even say that word not too long ago, but now all of a sudden they want to have that out.
Well, this is it. And what we'll do is we'll take a quick break. And when we come back, we will get into the Epstein saga as we are unraveling in real time, possibly the greatest takedown in history, but because of an attempted coup d'etat from within the US government, disguised as the establishment trying to get rid of the outsider. And on the contrary, it's the exact opposite. Don't go anywhere. You're watching The 51st State. And welcome back to the 51st State. Bruce, well, I'm delighted that you're able to join me today, and I feel like we only just scratched the surface in that first segment, and I do want to come back and maybe as we conclude our interview today, we'll come back and review a little bit more. But of course, RussiaGate, massive. I mean, as you said, it makes Watergate look like nothing, and I remember growing up and watching the film All the President's Men with Robert Redford and Dustin Hoffman, and about the Watergate story and the unraveling that led to the resignation of Richard Nixon in a very slow, plotted story that when you watch it back as an adult, you can sort of cope with it, and it's a lot faster because you understand the detail. But I remember as a young kid watching it going, what is this movie all about? It's taking forever. The president resigns. Like it's just how slow it was. But here we are in real time watching events that have happened from almost a decade ago. And for mine, and I often like to tell this, that as a former, lefty in this country, Labor supporter, a Democrat supporter, and certainly I switched from a Hillary Clinton to a Bernie Sanders supporter back in 2015. So for mine, I was in this 24/7 from April of 2015 when Bernie Sanders announced he would be running for president. So my 10-year anniversary has been and gone, and we are still not that much further along. And I appreciate that you've been in this your whole life, and many people as well. It's absolutely massive. Now, I know that Michael Flynn has spoken about the need for healing, and Michael Flynn is one of them that certainly needs to be able to be healed. And I do wonder if he's got a role to play in what's going on. I tell you what, he'd be a fantastic witness if and when that time comes, based on what was done to him and to Obama. But like you said before the break, speaking about the Epstein saga, we're now learning that there are calls from the Department of Justice to get a deposition from Ghislaine Maxwell. Now, I don't know if people didn't see this coming, but there is no way in the world that Trump could get this far into it and kick an own goal, and somehow he's the only person on the Epstein list, and now they're all calling for his head. and I posted the other day to these people saying, "Oh, Trump is a PEDO, etc.," and that's all they're all they cared about. So I asked the people, I said, "Can you tell us your knowledge of Pizzagate or adrenochrome? Can you tell us about Frazzle Drip? Can you provide your review of the movie The Sound of Freedom? Can you tell us what you know about Laura Silsby? Can you tell us about the Podesta files and who was the source for that information? What do you know about the 35,000 people that Clay Higgins was talking about, or the 800,000 missing children that Tom Homan talks about? And why is it that you don't talk about Bill Cosby, you don't talk about Harvey Weinstein, you don't mention Kevin Spacey, and you don't even talk about Ricky Gervais's speech at the Golden Globes?" But suddenly it's only about one single person in the Epstein client list. So please don't mock us with this sort of idea that you care about the kids. Right. And this is where I think that the credibility issue proves that those of us that have got a straight, playing a straight bat here, I tell you what, if there was video evidence that proved that the president, number 47, was involved in some bad things, I think I'd be the first person in line to say, well, like all the rest of them, out they go. But I'm pretty sure at this point, if they had that intel, he would have been the first one they did take out. How do you feel about all of this stuff, just from a broad perspective as somebody that cares for children?
Look, if they had anything on Donald Trump in his first term, it would have came out. They tried so hard, impeach, criminal allegations and all this nonsense that we witnessed for all these years. And then what do? Well, they can't do that. They can't lie anymore and make stuff up. They take a shot at him and they try to kill him. That's what we all witnessed. And so now here we are, and all the craziness that's on the world stage of what you talked about, that's just coming from people who are one-dimensional thinking, and they have hatred, and they just want to see Donald Trump fail. That's all that is. Unfortunately, that's a part of what I was saying earlier about we have some healing to do, and there's a lot of healing that we must do in this country, because the hatred, the division, and the one-dimensional thinking, the whole 9 yards, we need to really address that. But at the same time, I know that Donald Trump is, the entire world, I don't have to be the guy speaking here. We all know he's not on that Epstein list. We all know that he has nothing to do with that PEDO word and all that. So, but right now, I think what we're witnessing here is a little bit of an art of war thing, the way he's talking and putting out True Social posts. I think he's making it sure it gets into the conscience of everybody right now again, because these things are coming. I'm going to go on this record right now. We're recording the show. I realize that, and I can look like a fool down the road. But right now I'm going to go on record and say these things are coming, all the way from the indictments, RussiaGate, and all this Epstein stuff and everything else that you just described, Jason, about the things that nobody wants to talk about are going to come to light. It's going to come to the surface. And like I said at the beginning of the show, we have to be transparent with everybody. But the whole truth out there is difficult as it will be to accept.
And this is the point. It will be difficult. It has been difficult. It has cost us friendships, relationships, family breakups, etc. I know that in my own personal family, if I ever bring up the subject, the P word in terms of child protection, there's a shutdown. And it's not because family members are that way inclined, and that's a horrible thing to say, but on the contrary, they just can't cope. It is a bridge too far that they don't want to accept. And therefore, that proves to me that that's why Trump made it pointed back at himself, because that hatred that they have for him would force people to come out, and then they might start to realize that, hang on a second, if the man that I really don't like is involved with these horrible things, then that might be the catalyst to make me at last care and cannot deny, and for that just gives him more credibility in my eyes rather than less, and that is just a level of courage that it just blows my mind, and I think that's just where the respect comes from, and I pity those that don't want to see that, or at least explore, or at least respect and understand where I'm coming from. But we also, Bruce, have to live very, very public, straight up and down lives ourselves, and because you have to lead by example. We get criticized in the moment for decisions that we make, or choices that we make, and I've copped the same in my own life recently, for the choice of who I choose to not work for, but for where I represent. I could not do this show the way that I'm doing it and the resources I have to make it unless someone was supporting it. And if that person is criticized, does that mean that we cut the show off and cancel it, and we sit down in a corner and wring our hands, or not? Or we just roll with the punches and keep going? And so, politics is a blood sport, and the news of politics and our politics is against the mainstream media. That is our true opposition, because they represent the enemy of our enemy, and therefore it is going to be dirty. But the best thing that you can do is to keep getting up, let your record speak for itself, and momentum, I think, is everything. I read that in The Art of the Deal from Trump himself. He said when he got down on his luck, he just said momentum is the most important thing. So that just is where I head on all of this. Yes. And I feel that, yeah, Bruce, you do the same. You work 24/7 at this job to just service community. And look, one day 10,000 people will become 10 million, and we will be the news as we were told it was. And I can't thank you enough for the fact that you continue to do it and that you're here today. Now, having said all of that, I want to put up something on the screen to show you where we're headed. This is a graphic from Attorney General Pam Bondi. She says, I anticipate meeting with Miss Maxwell, that's Ghislaine Maxwell, in the coming days. Bruce, what's going on? This is something for the books.
Yeah, that's again, I said it this morning when I put up that post. I said I kind of wasn't being egotistical. I said I told people, I said, relax, take a step back. This will all unfold. If there is indeed truly a plan to trust, then allow the plan to unfold. It doesn't mean it's going to happen on your timetable the way you want to see it happen. Okay. Allow the people that we elected, the people that we do believe are behind the scenes working very hard for us to go ahead and implement this plan. So that's what's happening right now. And all of a sudden, I think it's incredible what you just put on the screen right now. It's kind of like saying, fine, just to shut everybody up, we're going to go talk to Ghislaine Maxwell, right? No, I don't think that's exactly what they're saying there. They're not going to do it to shut everybody up, because not only did Pam Bondi put that out today, her assistant, AG Todd Blanche, is going to go speak to Ghislaine Maxwell. And then shortly after that, it was announced here in the States that the DOJ is going to subpoena Ghislaine Maxwell in the Congress. And my question is, if she does, there it is. And if she does come here, will it be televised on throughout the world on television? So think about that. That is everything I've been talking about. We must show everybody transparency. And what better way to do that? Bring Ghislaine in and put it on television for the world to see. Then you're going to say to the Democrats over there, be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it.
Geez, Bruce, as you said, it literal shivers up my spine. That is the moment that we're all waiting for. There would not be a news camera in the United States that would not be pointed at Ghislaine Maxwell as she is ushered into that room. The security required, if they were going to do that, would have to be, it would have to be like Marine military precision. I mean, this would be the most guarded witness in history at that point. And of course, anyone who dared try and attempt something would be a giveaway of guilt at that point. Now, wow. Look, let me just put up something else here. This is an important piece of information. There's a floor update. What's going on here? Are people being sent home early in terms of what's happening?
Not necessarily, no. This is what happens every August here in the States. It's nothing new. People are just making a big stink about it in some way, okay? But there's something else going on here, okay? So let me explain this. And this is where my tinfoil hat comes on again. So Donald Trump, I think it was yesterday, put out about a statement asking John Thune to forget about the August recess and stay. There's some nominations of some black robes that need to be appointed, and that's what they want him to do. Well, it was announced apparently today that what you just put on your screen, that they're going to have votes tomorrow, and then Thursday's the last day, and they won't come back till September 2nd. Well, here's the thing. All right. Boy, this particular show right now can really make or break me for what I'm about to say, because it's going to be recorded. So here's the thing. Donald Trump has been putting out True Social posts for a good month at least now, and he's been using one particular word, and that word is hot. He keeps talking about how hot America is. It's the hottest country. There you go. While Congress is away, the month of August is traditionally a really hot month. Nature is unpredictable. In my opinion, after all these years of wondering what these Q posts meant, because they told us future will prove the past, I think we're finally at that point right now. And I think, I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but I think with Congress away and what that particular drop tells us and everything that's been connecting lately, the comms have been, for those who follow the comms coming out of from Trump himself and the Trump camp, they're connecting very, very perfectly. And at the same time, that might mean we could see the arrest. It would make sense that someone like a Brennan and a Comey, who have already been referred for a criminal investigation, are going to be indicted. Listen, just because like a week ago it was announced that like Brennan and Comey are being referred for investigation, Tulsi Gabbard on was it Friday, unclassified the documents, and I think it was just last night or today even that the criminal referral from Tulsi Gabbard is now in the hands of the Department of Justice. I don't want people to think like, okay, well, now they got to do the investigation. These people were prepared. This Trump administration was prepared before they walked into the door. They are so far ahead of the game. And that's why I really think we could see some major breaking news coming out of the States coming up in the month of August.
Well, look at this post. I mean, July 21st, Obama himself manufactured the Russia hoax. Crooked Hillary, Sleepy Joe, and numerous other participated in this crime of the century. Irrefutable evidence, a major threat to our country. If you are saying a major threat to our country, apart from everything else, you are saying the word treason, aren't you?
I believe so. And Tulsi Gabbard has used that word numerous times on here in the States on mainstream media TV. The interviews she has conducted, they're talking treason over and over again. So I think they're putting this in the public conscience in their mind right now. It's kind of like, this is a way to kind of comfort you. Here it comes. It's coming. You know, they're not just going to rip the Band-Aid. But here's the thing too. I believe this is just me in my opinion for all the research and putting the puzzle pieces together over the years. I think it's going to come fast and furious. You're going to get news like one day you're going to find out major breaking news. So-and-so has been indicted and arrested and is being criminally charged. I don't think we're going to sit on one particular person. I think it's going to be one after the other and after the other. And you're going to find out too, not only these names that we know in the public mind, like Obama or Comey or Brennan, all these people, but you're going to find out there are judges. There are other people too that are going to be connected to all of this, that they're going to be indicted. So it's quite something. And I know this is everything everybody's been waiting for. And for me to say what I've been saying on your show is a risk for me. But at the same time, I feel very confident in it because it's making all sense right now, even though it's taken all these years to get to. And we've been criticized along the way of being conspiracy theorists and all this crazy talk. But our day is coming. It's around the corner. But it's not about us or our pride or our ego. It's about getting that truth and that transparency out to the world so we can have a better world.
This is what fascinates me about the Epstein story and the relation to RussiaGate, because Comey, head of the FBI, Brennan, then head of the CIA, if these people are taken out for committing a crime that we're talking about is treason, And these would have been the people that would have overseen that period in the Epstein era that did its best to ignore. Now, Dick Durbin in 2023 was the roadblock when Marsha Blackburn was trying to get the Epstein files released. And now Dick Durbin's gone the other way and he's pointing the finger at Trump, which I find fascinating. So it's almost like he's now a puppeteer doing the bidding of somebody else. And you can't have it both ways. And I find that enormously frustrating that the media doesn't get onto it. And, of course, the Twitterites, the ex-posters only see what they want to see. And there's no consistency right there. But the point is that they are all on it's the same people in the frame. In other words, if you take out Comey and Brennan for RussiaGate, I mean, you can take them out for Epstein or what they've done there, but they're already going away forever at this point. But if Trump's able to clean out these three-letter agencies, do you think with the connection of Epstein, Maxwell, and when you look over at perhaps Mossad, that Mossad has to clean itself out as well, and potentially Mossad might well have some Epstein evidence that has gone missing out of the FBI, and it would give them a chance to come clean as well in the eyes of the world. Netanyahu, public enemy number one. Could that be something else that we may not have considered?
It could be. I mean, there's always been a lot of talk about Jeffrey Epstein working with Israeli intelligence or being part of something much bigger than we anticipated. Again, transparency is what it's going to take, and the truth must come out. We need to get to that finally. So we will see what happens with that. But at the same time, I think everybody should prepare themselves to also realize that there might be people implicated in this that you thought were good guys, and we just don't know. And I know a lot of people, look, I report a lot on the wars, Ukraine and Russia, and then Israel and Gaza and everything else. And when the whole Israel-Gaza thing took place, I told people, look, my advice, you do what you will, but my advice is to stay neutral. Don't try and pick a side at all. Just look at it from a 40,000-foot view and look at both sides of things, and you're just going to see a lot clearer, because these people, I know there's a lot of Christians who, talk about the word of God in Israel, but we're talking, there's a dirty government there. There's a lot going on when it comes to that side of things. But again, like you said, could Jeffrey Epstein be a part of it? I don't know. I don't have the answers for that, but hopefully we do find out, and hopefully the truth does prevail.
Yes, you see, why I think like that is that if you're going to go all this way for transparency, you can't then not have it everywhere. And what has opened the door for me in this was I'm trying to piece together the threat of artificial intelligence, but also my motto in life is always use your weakness as your strength. If absolute power is going to use AI against people in, for example, a one world government, which would have to be AI controlled, and then things would all be preset, and you wouldn't be able to, you'd basically be a prisoner to a computer system. It's just insane. And the fact that they would just deliver us into that doesn't make any sense. Yeah. But if you flip it on its head and you have a transparent system, the AI would be the perfect thing to hold public life, public authority to account. There'd be no more resistance. There couldn't be any cover-ups. They would have to expose everything. So I had the good fortune a couple of weeks ago to interview John Eastman, who was the Trump constitutional lawyer who told Mike Pence on January 6 he did not need to certify and was indicted for it. And I asked John specifically about artificial intelligence in the law. And he said that he'd asked Grok for some case law on birthright citizenship and was given a particular case that he hadn't heard of that justified that birthright citizenship was available if you were born on United States soil from an illegal immigrant. And he read it and he went back to Grok and he said, well, this is actually incorrect. And he explained why. And Grok came back and said, you're right, and changed its mind.
Really?
And yes, and that is fascinating, right? That would be the case.
Wow.
Now, at the weekend here in the Gold Coast in Australia, I was at the Free Speech Summit, and I had the good fortune to conduct a Q&A with Steve Kirsch, and I asked Steve Kirsch about artificial intelligence, given that he's a very successful tech person and a CEO, etc. And he said that the difference between AI and a human being is that you can actually argue with AI, and when you prove it wrong, it will accept it and it will acknowledge it. Whereas with a human being, what it does is it puts the shutters down and it won't say anymore. It'll go away. And so therefore, in actual fact, the AI gives you the chance to advance an argument, whereas the human being can be too stubborn. Now, I know from following you that you had a lot of people that support you that were very nervous about AI. And I remember you saying something along the lines of, it can't go away from here. We need to embrace it. How do you put all this together? And are you using AI at all, or are you just watching to understand it better, how it may affect us?
I use AI every day, believe it or not. I will use it. I've used Grok. I've used other platforms as well, but I'm using it for business purposes and things like that. I don't have any time to go on and make those baby videos and everything that's going on that you see out there. There's all the cute stuff, but I like it. It's entertaining. But I just did a podcast about this, and I talked about I compared nuclear war going through a nuclear arms race and the AI race. And right now, we are in very uncharted water right now. My only concern is this: when it comes to AI, is the policing of it and who can we trust. So that's the big thing, because I have very little confidence in that, and my red flags are of it getting out of control. The biggest names in the world, from Elon Musk and all the others, have talked about their concerns about this too, becoming a runaway train. That is my biggest concern as well. But if it's done responsibly, you're right. What you just described there, that is amazing to hear, that AI Grok itself would correct itself and say, "Oh, you are right." I did hear a story very recently that some company's AI computer program apparently crashed, and the AI rewrote its own code. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a very dangerous thing. So at the same time, there's many good things that will come with AI in many areas, if you will. But there are things too that I'm quite concerned about in becoming a runaway train. So hopefully things go the right way. And I am aware that, and I didn't read the entire thing, but the big beautiful bill that just passed here in the States has apparently in it about 10 years of being policed, if you will, AI having control from the federal government. So I know people are like, why is the government, and everything else, but at the same time, it's like, look, who's the government? It's Donald Trump, and I think they have every intention to take the next couple presidencies very easily. I know it won't be Trump, but they're going to have their person to take over the presidency and go into that. So hopefully, with this whole birth of AI on the world stage right now, maybe it's the perfect timing and it's in the right hands of the right people. So that's what I'm hoping for.
He who controls the AI controls the world, and I do think, from my own perspective, when he came out, Trump, very early on, when he got into office and announced the $500 billion investment, that was to tell the world that we're going to take it from here, thanks very much, and really step on the throat. Bruce, this show is focused on positive outcomes, and the reason I call it the 51st State is asking that if we are in a downward trajectory here in Australia, would it be an advantage if, for example, for argument's sake, we, like he explained, exposed to Canada, that Australia become the 51st state. Now, technically, it would mean that in reality, Australia could become a republic, something that we've toyed with for a very long time, but have never been able to come up with a better model in order to move in that direction. But if your king is working against you, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to maintain the status quo. Parking that there for a moment, after we get to the justice period and the healing period in the United States, what do you see in the future, perhaps even from your own great state of Ohio? What are your highest hopes for a new United States in this post-justice period?
Look, I try to give everybody who follows me, I am very responsible in what I put out, and I'm very I try to be very encouraging, and I don't mean I'm going to blow smoke up, people, but I try to encourage people at the end of the day to be hopeful. Look at this as birth pains, if you will. We're going through changes, and it's very difficult, and it's not easy, and it's not going to be for everyone. Somebody said that the ending won't be for everyone. And in order to go from dark to light, we have to go through the darkness to get to that light. And that's what we're doing right now. So I really, truly do believe that I see a better world. Believe it or not, okay, it has already started. But the evildoers, if you will, are fighting it tooth and nail right now. So everybody who's involved in this in a criminal way and trying to control the world like they have been for a very, very long time, they're fighting it tooth and nail. And because Donald Trump is taking us there. And I'm not trying to put Donald Trump on a pedestal. He is one man, but there are many other people who works at play here and a lot of people involved. I do see really good things here. If everybody took a time out and looked at what he's been doing, it's only been 6 months from the Department of Education to the economy, the trade deals, everything that is going on. It's unbelievable to me. Look, I have never witnessed anything like this in my lifetime with any president at this rapid speed. We're going fast, but it's going in the right direction, the way it's supposed to go. And I do believe that when they came in, for example, Doge and everything that was going on, they had to do these things first by taking away the money from the deep state, taking away their resources, putting them in a corner. All these things needed to be done first in order before these arrests happen, because it's like a big chess game. You just can't come in here and say, we want the arrest. No, it doesn't work that way. We have to have all our pieces in place. But at the same time, again, I truly believe a new world awaits ahead of us. It's not going to be easy. These 4 years, you're going to still get people, screaming about it and trying to resist it. But at the end of the day, I think we're in store for some really amazing things. And I'm not just talking about the United States. I'm talking this is going to impact the entire globe.
No, absolutely. Now, looking forward, to say 2029, do you think JD Vance is the heir apparent, or may there be a surprise there? Have you even considered it?
I have, and I've actually gone on record. I know I have early on. I said I don't think JD Vance will be the next president. I know tradition shows that the vice president would run. I'm not 100% sure, but watching JD Vance right now, it's not impossible to say. So again, I don't know exactly who they would have in mind. I don't know who I would say right now, but if we had a vote today, then I'd probably vote for JD Vance. That's for sure. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. None of us know what Trump has up his sleeve. And I guarantee you, he knows exactly who's going to run when the next term comes up. So
if things were to go to plan and the deep state is taken out over RussiaGate, you'd have to think that Tulsi Gabbard would be due a promotion at any time that she would want to get there. And I wonder if imagine a ticket that was Vance Gabbard in 29 would be extraordinary, or maybe even in 33. But then I look at Bobby Kennedy will probably be too old, but the work that he's doing in the health and human services. What I'm trying to say is that this beautiful thing that we saw former Democrats make this transition and move, that the party system, not only is it broken and the political system broken, and as I say in the opening of this show, that it's not about left and right anymore. It's about globalists versus nationalists. And I think it would be just something else that if the Republican Party would happen to have an ex-Democrat make it into these high positions of power, it would go a very long way to saying that system has finally been replaced by something better. So as a political romantic that I am, I look to these highly qualified people and realize that there's much to be said. And of course, in Ohio, where you're from, you've got Vivek Ramaswamy sort of running for governor there, that you would have to think that in 4 or 8 years that he may be ready for a tilt at the top just the same. You'd have to think that if you were a Republican supporter today, you'd be fairly confident that once we get over this hurdle, they might be in power for the next 2 decades.
Very, very well said. You and I are in the same alignment with our thinking. You look at, again, JD Vance. You look at, yes, Vivek Ramaswamy. I just went to one of his political rallies, if you will, here in Ohio, and to go there to meet him. An amazing man, and his vision is quite exciting, and he is very young. So you got JD Vance, the possibility of being another president. Vivek Ramaswamy going from governor to president. And let's not leave out Eric Trump himself, because I really think there's a future for Eric. I don't think it's Don, but I do think Eric Trump possibly has a future at the presidency.
Well, that's an interesting call, isn't it? And the one character in the Trump family that I think that blows my mind is young Barron. I think we're looking at something very special there that we don't know anything about. That one conversation that we saw, well, we heard him speak, and he speaks not like an 18 or a 20-year-old kid. He speaks like a grown, mature man, and that presence, that 6'8" presence, and of the boy that looked exactly like the cover of the book, The Adventures of Barron Trump, for goodness sake. Like,
yes.
The fact that we don't know what we don't know, but these coincidences line up, fills me with the feeling of hope and of promise that that we can be confident that we are in uncharted waters, and you don't get into these waters without something very special or very different coming out on the other side, which provides us, more hope rather than fear of the unknown, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah, we are living in historic times right now. It's quite amazing, and I tell it to my followers all the time. It's a wonderful time to be alive. Embrace it, because this is never going to happen again. This is a phenomenon, what we're witnessing. It's a phenomenon with Donald Trump. What I think, the excitement of politics, it's all downhill after this, because this has been the creme de la creme. This is the height of it all, and they'll be talking about this for hundreds of years to come about this.
Yes.
So it's wonderful to be a part of this and be a part of history. So again, just embrace it.
Absolutely. Well, Bruce, it's been a delight to catch up again and to speak to you today, and to always watch on with the great work that you do. How can those watching on connect with you?
Yeah, you can follow me at Real Bruce Snyder on X, on Telegram. You can follow me on Rumble at Bruce Snyder. And I'm also on Facebook. I'm probably the only Bruce Snyder with a bigger audience, if you will. I don't have a handle for that because I've been censored 90 sometimes, so I can't even put a URL handle up. I just got to go with what they give me. But other than that, yeah, you could find me there, usually at Real Bruce Snyder on Telegram, on True Social at Real Bruce Snyder, all across the platform. So, or if you just even put in MindFix TV News and Google it, I'll be connected to it. So.
Fabulous. Well, on that note, we're going to say goodbye. But before we do, Bruce, I'm going to play, or at least attempt to play, a clip that shows you the panic that is going on right now. This is level-headed, but not anymore, Jon Stewart. Take a look.
Go fuck yourself! 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 Go fuck yourself!
Fuck him. Fuck him. Fuck him and everybody around him. I don't have to be fucking nice. Number one, I agree with Quentin Tarantino. Fucking George Clooney is not a fucking actor. He is a fucking, I don't know what he is. He's a brand. Fuck you. What do you have to do with fucking anything? Why do I have to fucking listen to you? Pod Save America guys who were junior fucking speechwriters.
I gotta say, it makes sense we'd be canceled. I get it, guys. And thanks again. Okay, thanks again to the network. In a completely unrelated story, on Friday, Donald Trump posted, "I absolutely love that Colbert got fired. His talent was even less than his ratings." How dare you, sir? Would an untalented man be able to compose the following satirical witticism? Go yourself.
Experts, doctors, scientists will be studying Trump derangement syndrome for generations to come.
Just that just blows my mind, because that tells you that these people are they are in a tailspin right now, and they don't know what to do or where to go. They have had the best part of a decade to believe that they need to change their attitude. They had every opportunity to do so. They chose not to. They backed themselves, and here we were the entire time waiting for this exact moment. And yep, we still aren't there, and our mugs are on the chopping block as usual. But I tell you what, it's the pendulum has most certainly swung. And we've been here to chronicle that opportunity. Bruce, thank you for your time today on the 51st State, and I look forward to speaking to you very soon again, and obviously following on your great work. And for everyone else, thank you for watching. We'll end the show there and see you all on the next one.
Thank you, Jason.